Welcome back to Mortgage with Tana with me, your host, Santana. I am actually going to go over today the 3 basic steps to owning your home. And I will go a little in depth in each one to explain how it works and all of that. But that's what we're going to go off today. It is a brand new year. Happy 2023. So I would just want to get you prepared for when you decide to buy your first house. So let's jump in. The first step to owning your own home in any case is that you are going to want to get your pre-approval done, not pre-qualification. There are two very different things. And if you look on my YouTube channel, that's actually the first video that I've gone over. If you don't know what that is or how it affects it, please take a minute, go to that video and see what it's about, because I'm not going to go over it in there. But the first step to owning your own home is to get pre-approved. This step is so vital because there is a difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval. Pre-approval is when you have all of your income, assets, and credit documentation. And this means we've calculated the income, we've looked at your credit and taken care of any blemishes that may have needed to be taken care of. And we know where your down payment is coming from, whether it be gift funds from a relative or a friend, domestic partner, fiance, whatever the case may be, or if it's coming from your checking and your savings or your retirement or potential sale from another home. So when you complete the pre-approval process, that is when we know the finite number you are approved for, and we tell your realtor, hey, Mr. and Miss Realtor, they are pre-approved for up to $400,000. Take them shopping. So once that step is done, your next step is to get with a realtor and start looking at homes. That's the exciting part. That's what everybody wants to do, right? Go out and go look for homes. Here's the thing with being a first-time home buyer and buying a new home. Everybody looks at homes on a daily basis. Zillow, Redfin, all that stuff, right? So you're looking at what you want, right? You're looking at this type of cabinet, this type of kitchen, this type of pool, this type of everything. You're looking at all of those things, right? Your first home, I hate to break it to you, will never be the home that you envisioned your entire life in. It just won't. But you need to figure out what your basic, most required needs are. Example, when I bought my house, this is actually my second home. The first home, in case you don't know my story, I ended up foreclosing on. So I know all about that whole thing with credit blemishes and things like that. But in this second step, going to shop for a home, you're going to want to narrow down exactly what you have to have in order to buy that house. So again, for me, I needed 4 bedrooms because I had 3 kids and myself, and I needed at least 2 bathrooms and a pool. That was my requirement. So when I talked to my realtor, I told them flat out, look, we need 4 bedrooms, a pool, and 2 bathrooms. Everything else is up for negotiation. So I didn't care if it was single story, double story, tri-level, whatever the case is, right? You just are going to have to know exactly what you are needing, not necessarily what you want, because remember, what you want and what you need, 2 different things. And you're going to want to make sure that it is something you can handle for at least 2 to 5 years when your equity increases, and then you're able to either sell, refinance, and flip to a investment home, or just move forward, right? So you're going to want to make sure you have all these things. So once you have actually found that home that you can live with, that you're like, okay, I'm cool, let's marry this house, you're going to want to put in an offer. And that's where your realtor comes in. They're going to ask you what you think the purchase price should be, how much you think you should ask for seller concessions. They're going to want to know, hey, how much are you planning to put down for earnest money? In case you guys don't know, earnest money is the initial down payment that you put down to show the seller that you are truly serious about buying that home. And you're going to say, okay, if for any reason I default within the first 10 days, you get to keep that earnest money. So you're going to want to make it something that if anything crazy happens, you're okay. I mean, no one's happy, but you're okay with losing it. And that it gives them, in the event that there are multiple offers, they know you are very, very serious about buying this house, right? And if anything that you put down for earnest money can and usually will be used towards your down payment. So say, for example, your down payment is $5,000 on your home and you put down $1,000 of earnest money, the remaining down payment is only $4,000 for you. So we deduct that from the actual down payment of your home. So once you've submitted that offer, it's going to go to the listing agent and the seller. Okay. They're going to review it and come back. And a couple of things are going to happen that can happen during this phase in buying your home. They can come back and say, yes, we love your offer. It's perfect. No changes, no nothing. Sign off. And then you're under contract. Or they could come back and say, hey, we liked your offer, but we need a few tweaks, whether it be they don't like the purchase price you submitted. So let's just say the house is listed at $350,000. You put in at $320,000 and they're like, let's go $325,000. Let's meet in the middle, right? So you have a counter offer. Once all those are completed, right? The counter offers, your agent's going back and forth. You're able to actually be under contract. When you're under contract, you have usually it's a 30-day close of escrow. Some take longer, some take shorter. It just depends on how much your loan officer has set you up for it and how fast your response time is when we request certain things from you after the file has been through underwriting. So in this second step, once you have selected your home and gone under contract, the next thing that will be issued to you are initial disclosures. Now, keep this in mind. The initial disclosures that you receive from your lender are all estimates. Nothing has been set in stone other than your purchase price, your down payment, and that's it. Your closing costs are still up because we have to talk to title. Title fees we're all dependent on that. Realtor commissions aren't in yet. Things like that. Your appraisal hasn't been done, so we don't have an invoice. So in this step, the first set of disclosures that you get are all estimates. Some things may be wrong. There may be something on there, for example, like a final inspection, which usually comes after you've done an initial appraisal. That may be disclosed to you because what that initial loan estimate does and that initial disclosure package does is it explains to you the terms and the conditions that you have currently. So if you've locked your rate, it will tell you that your rate has been locked. It will also give you a preliminary monthly payment. That includes taxes, insurance, flood insurance, if applicable, HOA dues, things like that. But in that first set of initial disclosures, everything is going to be estimated because you're going to have to get homeowners insurance. We're going to have to pull the taxes on the property. We're going to have to make sure that the appraisal doesn't come in low, and then we have to change the purchase price, right? So there's a few different things that can happen throughout the loan process, but you're going to want to make sure that when you get those initial disclosures, you understand that that does not tie you to anything or anyone. Okay? It doesn't tie you. You could actually turn around and just say, I don't want to do the loan anymore on day 2, and we would cancel everything out. Everything would be done. So in this second step, the other piece is that when you are first under contract, you have 10 days total, calendar days. You have 10 calendar days to do a home inspection, a termite inspection, pool inspections, any type of inspection you want done on that home, excluding the appraisal. Okay? So if you do a home inspection and that inspector comes back and says, oh, the home is perfect, there's nothing wrong with it, you're most likely going to continue with the loan. However, if they come back and say, you know what, something might be off with the roof, or, the home is infested with termites, forbid, right? You have the potential in that first 10 days to cancel that contract and get your earnest money back. No harm, no foul. So you're going to want to make sure that you get all of those inspections done as soon as possible so that there's no delay and so that you can negotiate with the listing agent and the seller to get what you need fixed. Okay? So now, the third step. The third step is the loan process. And this is the longest step and it's the biggest one. This is what usually takes 30 days for us to close your loan because we are obtaining additional documentation from you. Let's just say I only got 1 pay stub instead of 2. we're going to need to. Sometimes we need verifications of employment. Sometimes we need tax transcripts directly from the IRS. So all of these things can take time for us to obtain. The biggest piece throughout this process is that you are going to be introduced to additional people who are helping on your loan. The loan officer, once you are under contract, kind of disappears and falls into the background. And the most important person comes back up, and they are known as the processor. The processor is the direct link between you and the underwriter. And the underwriter is the one who is reviewing all of your documentation and saying yes or no. Okay, so when that processor reaches out to you and says, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Borrower, we just need one pay stub from you. Can you get that to us? Or they send you a request for a letter of explanation. You are going to want to get that documentation back to that processor within 24 to 48 hours to not hold up the process. This is a very vital point and a vital piece that if you guys don't pay attention to, you could potentially delay your close of escrow. So you're going to want to make sure you are speaking to that processor on a daily basis. Your loan officer doesn't leave. They're still around. They're still paying attention. They're still talking with the processor on a daily basis. They just aren't as important in this part. In this part, it is the processor's whole reason for having a job is to take care of what the underwriter is requesting, make sure that what you submit, the underwriter is going to be okay with, and all of that. So there's that. Once we get all of that initial upfront documentation and you're under contract, we submit you into the underwriter. The underwriter goes through and says, yes, but here is a list of conditions. That is known as a conditional approval. Okay. Conditional approvals are just basically saying, yes, you can have X amount of money, but you have to meet these items on this list in order to get that. So when the processor reaches out and says, hey, we need a letter of explanation for inquiries. Oh, well, I was just home shopping. Great. We just need the letter to say that, right? So they go through, they obtain all the documentation from you, and then we also obtain the appraisal. If you don't know what an appraisal is a report saying how much your home is worth. The appraiser also can call out certain things on the appraisal if something is damaged or if something isn't working. So, but ultimately that whole appraisal tells you how much your value is worth on your home. So if that appraisal comes in at your purchase price, you're good to go. No harm, no foul, no nothing. We take the conditions you've submitted, that appraisal, and we submit it to the underwriter, and the underwriter will look at everything and say, this is great, wonderful, you are clear to close. And those are the words that every loan officer, borrower, realtor wait for, the clear to close, because that means everything is done. No more stress, no more nothing. You're going to end up going to that closing table and signing everything and being done. And that is the best part of everything. So once you're ready for docs to be sent out and you have that clear to close, what's going to happen is you're going to have a closer and potentially a funder. Some lenders have closers and funders. Some lenders just have one combined person that does both, right? So what that person is in charge of doing is taking all of the information, preparing the loan package, and sending it to the title company for them to have you sign in front of them. In there, you're going to see your entire initial disclosure package all over again. Only this time, it's going to be correct, accurate, and to the penny. So everything you signed up front, you're actually going to sign again at the end. I know, crazy, right? But it's true. You will sign everything you signed up front at the end all over again. In addition to a deed of trust, a warranty deed, and a few other things that are needed in order to record the title in your name with the county. So in Arizona, it is a dry state. I know that doesn't make any sense, but there's considered a dry state and a wet state. And in a wet state, you don't have to wait for documents to come back before we send money. In Arizona, because we're a dry state, we need those closing documents back before we can send the money out to title for disbursement. So normally what happens is we have you sign the day before, and then the next morning, we work with title, get those documents back, and then we make sure everything is signed, everything is dated, all the I's dotted, T's crossed, and then we send the wire to title. Once title receives that wire and that money, they then record with the county. Once everything is recorded with the county, you, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, are ready to get your keys. That's what it takes. It takes all of that stuff within 30 days to get you into your home. But once you're in your home, remember, mortgage is paid in arrears, so it is never upfront. It is not like rent where you are paying in January for you living there in January. With mortgage, you're paying in January for December. That's how it works, which is why there is usually a 30 to 60-day gap between the time you close and your first mortgage payment. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope this helped explain how the mortgage process works. And as always, you're able to reach out and ask any questions. And remember to like and subscribe. Have a great day, guys.